All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another base workout. Today we're just going to get started with some walking like normal. We'll go through our normal 5-minute exercise, 5-minute warm-up, and then we'll get going with the build-up drill, and then we'll get into the main session of the workout. Today, the highest intensity we are getting to is 80%, just to give you a little heads up with that. I'm so glad that you're joining me today and continuing to move your bodies, whether it's the outside, on the trail. Hopefully the weather's nice, or wherever you're joining us from today. So like I said, we'll just get started with a nice easy pace. And we'll just start with a little 2-minute warm-up walking. And we'll get into our usual 30 seconds of marches and hamstring curls or butt kicks. And then we will go into our build-up drill, which will lead us into the main segment of the workout today. Today's session, or main segment, is a little bit longer. It's 20 minutes in total. So we'll be pushing ourselves at different intensities, and it does switch around quite a bit, so we won't be going fully 80% the whole time. But we'll get there when we get there, and then after that, we'll end with a 5-minute warm down. Just keep on continuing with this easy pace for the next 30 seconds or so, and then we'll get into some more exercises. About 10 seconds here. We'll transition into marches. So you can do these while you're continuing to move forward on the trail, or wherever you are choosing to work out from today, or you can do them stationary as I am, totally up to you. It will take a little bit more balance though if you would like to walk and do marches. Transition to hamstring curls in 3, 2, 1. Here I am showing what this looks like from a side view. But we're just taking those heels, bending our knees, going back towards the back of the room or back up to your butt. Again, you can also do these standing stationary as I am, or you can be moving forward doing them as well. We'll transition back into walking in 3, 2, 1, and we're going to start at a 60% this build-up drill. It's going to be increasing our intensity progressively up to 80%. And push it up to a 70. We're going to bring it up to 80% in 3, 2, 1. We're going to keep it here for the next 30 seconds. This 80%, you should be moving those feet pretty quickly. You might find your stride length increasing. You might find yourself taking more steps, and you're going to notice an increase in the frequency of your breathing. You might find yourself starting to break a little bit of a sweat. All good signs. 3, 2, 1, bring it back down to an easy pace. Have about another minute before we start the main segment of our workout, but that little build-up drill was just to get you familiarized with the 60%, 70%, and 80% intensities that we're going to be working off of today. And for this exercise session today, we have 2 different intervals that we're going to run through twice. That'll lead us into the full 20 minutes. With about 10 seconds here before we take it up to a 65%. So step up your intensity in 3, 2, 1, pick up a 65%. It's going to feel somewhere in between a 60% and a 70% that we did with that build-up drill. It's going to feel like a little bit of a step up from an easy pace, but not too strenuous where you're finding yourself completely out of breath. This is more so of just a step up from a leisurely walk. You're still going to find yourself be breathing a little bit more heavily. Again, you might be breaking a sweat at this pace, but not feeling like you're going to be totally drenched if you keep going for a few minutes. About 10 more seconds here at this pace, and then we'll step it up into 70%. In 3, 2, 1, pick up that 70%. And we're going to hang out here for the next minute and a half. So it's just a little bit longer than the 65% that we just stepped up our intensity from. And while we're still early in our workout here after completing our warm-up and just getting started in the main segment, I want you to do that posture check-in. Notice how your shoulders are positioned, how your hips are positioned, and where your legs are falling underneath of you. Are you in alignment? Do you need to fix anything? Go ahead and fix that now. Roll those shoulders back. Keep that torso nice and tall. It'll help with our everyday posture and also will help with our breathing as well. We have 10 seconds here before we step it up to 75%. Bring up that intensity in 3, 2, 1, step it on up. This should feel a smidge harder than 70%. You might find yourself stepping off the ground with more power, propelling yourself forward a little bit more. Definitely going to notice an increase in breathing. Maybe you might feel your heart racing a little bit at this point in the workout because we are gradually increasing our intensities. We're working a little bit harder with each increase. And also if you're working out with somebody, you might find that it's becoming more difficult to speak in full sentences. You might find yourself only being able to speak a few words at a time before needing to take a breath. All normal. In 5 seconds, we're going to take it up to an 80%. So step it up, go, 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 go. We have 30 seconds at this 80% here. Keep going, keep going. We'll bring it back down to 65% in 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down. Back down at our 65% that we started this main segment with. And then we're going to work our way up through the intensities every 5% again until we reach 80%. And finish out with our little 30-second quote-unquote sprint at 80%. We have 10 seconds here before we go into A minute and a half at 70% or 7 out of 10. 3, 2, 1. Bring up that intensity. That's 7 out of 10, and we have a minute and a half here. I want you to work on keeping a steady pace throughout this next minute and a half. Again, at any point, if you're feeling like you need to pause the video for any reason, feel free to do so. If you need to grab a drink and hydrate, as always, feel free to pause, and then I will be right back here with the workout when you're ready to resume. You can just get back into the swing of things. We have another 30 seconds here at 70%. We have 10 seconds, and we're going to increase to a 75% intensity. 3, 2, 1, step it up, step it up. We have a minute here at this 75% intensity, then we'll take it into another 30-second bout at the maximal percent of 80 that we'll get to today. I want you to try and push yourself when we get to that 80%. You keep pushing yourself now. The 75%. We got about another 30 seconds here. Another 10 seconds here, and then we'll step it up into that 80%. In 3, 2, 1, up that intensity a little bit to that 80%. Keep going. After this 30-second bout, we'll have a little bit of a rest. We'll decrease the intensity a little bit so you can give yourself a breather. So I want you to push yourself through this last 15 seconds. I know you've got it. You've got 5, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down to 65%. Got about a minute here. And after this minute is up, we'll drop it down to another minute at 60%, and then we'll get into the second part for the second interval, which we'll just be working back through those sets of intensities again, and then we'll head into the warm down. So just keep continuing at a 65% for the next 30-ish seconds, and then we'll transition into 60%. In 3, 2, 1, transition into a 6 out of 10 or 60%. Have a little almost rest session here from the higher intensities that we've been working at. I still want you to keep pushing yourself. Don't totally slack off and relax during this minute before we get into the second interval. I want you to feel like you can catch your breath a little bit. About 10 seconds until we bring it back up into a 65%. In 3, 2, 1, increase that intensity just a smidge. Try and keep a constant intensity, constant pace. Got 10 seconds here before we bring it up into 7% and increase the intensity a little bit. In 3, 2, 1, increase to that 7 out of 10. Push yourself just a little bit harder. You have a minute and a half here. There's about a minute left at the 70% before we increase it to 75. Have another 30 seconds. Keep pushing yourself. Try and keep a constant 7 out of 10 here. Now you might be getting a little bit tired, but keep up the pace. You've been doing great so far. Another 10 seconds here before we increase to 75%. Up that intensity in 3, 2, 1. Step it up to a 75. Gonna bring in another posture check now that we're a little over halfway through our workout of the day. We might be feeling a little bit tired. We're pushing ourselves hard today. I want you to just do another mental check-in with your posture. Do you need to roll those shoulders back? Tuck that chin in a little more so that our head's not too far forward. Probably dealing with that lower body. Muscles might be feeling a little bit tired. We gotta keep pushing through. We got 10 seconds here before we go into our 30-second bouts at 80%. So 3, 2, 1, increase that pace. Give me that 80%. Only have 2 more bouts of these left. So give me all you got. See how fast you can walk on those legs. We have 10. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give me a 65%. Slow it down a little bit. Use this time to help catch your breath. Take a little breather while we get ready to build ourselves up to the last 80% quote-unquote sprint of our exercise today, our exercise session today. Another 30 seconds here. We got 10 seconds before we bring it up into a 70%. Increase that intensity in 3, 2, 1. Go up to that 70%. We have a minute and a half of this here. As you keep pushing, you know your legs might be a little bit tired today, but with all of the endurance building base workouts that we've had so far, should have a little bit of stamina left. Or if you need to pause the video at any time, take a little break. If you feel like you're pushing yourself too hard, feel free to do so. Also, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. If you feel like you need water, take a break. I'll be right here when you decide to come back and resume your workout. And another 30 seconds here at 70%. Then we'll bring it into a 75%. Ten seconds. Bring it up to that 75% in 3, 2, 1. Step it up, step it up. I know you got more in you. Increase that intensity. With 10 seconds here before we bring it into our last bout of 80%. Bring it up in 3, 2, 1. Give me that 80%. We only have 30 seconds here before we move into some lower intensity walking and our warm down. Give me all you've got here. Keep pushing. We're about halfway through. Keep going. We've got 10 seconds. Bring it down to a 65% in 3, 2, 1. And lower that intensity. And now we've made it through the most strenuous parts of the exercise session today. I'm going to end out with this minute at 65%. Then we'll step it down to 60%. And then we'll head into our warm down. That being said though, we're still in the main segment. I still want you to try and push yourself at the 65%. We're not into that warm down just yet. We have 10 seconds here before we transition into our 60%. In 3, 2, 1. Give me a 60%. Slow that walk down a little bit. And we'll finish out here. Need you to finish out strong. Have another 30 seconds here before we enter our warm down. We'll start with our usual 2 minutes of walking at an easy pace, just so that we can help catch our breath a little bit. In 10 seconds, we'll transition into a nice easy pace and start our 5-minute warm down session. In 3, 2, 1, into that nice and easy pace. You might have been able to, control that breath and slow down the amount of breaths you're taking during those last 2 minutes of the main segment, just because we weren't finishing at such a high intensity like we have with other workouts. I still want you to focus on that breathing, focus on that inhale, and slowly exhale. You're going to find your heart rate and pulse to decrease a little bit as well now that we're not walking at such a high intensity or exerting ourselves at such a high intensity. About another minute here at this easy pace before we head into some balance and mobility exercises today. First, we're going to be going through a single leg balance. We're going to be going 30 seconds on the left, 30 on the right, whichever leg you would like to start with. Perfectly fine. Just want to make sure and give you a heads up just in case you need something to hold on to help with balance. And you're outside on the trail or just walking outside. And if you need something to hold on to, try and go find that. If you need to pause the video, it's perfectly fine as well. And we'll be heading into some front lunges and marches. We have 10 seconds here before we start our single leg balance. In 3, 2, 1, go ahead and stand on one leg and pick the other up. If you need to focus on a single point out in the distance to help you with balance, go ahead and do that. Also feel free to add in some gaze shifts like I'm doing here. This will help challenge your balance a little bit if you want an increase in difficulty here. If you might find yourself stabilizing through that ankle a little bit. We'll go ahead and switch to the other side just so that we keep it even. Feel free to add in gaze shifts to this side as well if you're feeling up for it. Again, that just increases the difficulty of this exercise a little bit more. All right. We'll move into front lunges now. Marches, my bad. And here we're really emphasizing that range of motion. I want you to try and reach up to the sky as high as you can. If you want to do these stationary, that is perfectly fine with me. If you feel like you can get a bigger range of motion. Now I want you to pause your knee at the highest point and see how long you can hold it there. Hold it for a few seconds. It's going to try and help increase the range of motion of that hip joint. Get another 10 seconds here. And we're going into a front lunge stretch. I want you to really feel the stretch in the front of that leg that's back. So you're feeling that in your quad. Now we're switching legs. And we'll put that left leg back. You'll feel a stretch on the front of your left thigh. Now we'll switch back to the other. We're going to go with a side lunge stretch now. I feel a stretch on the inner part of that thigh that's straight. Now we'll switch to the other side. Again, you'll feel a stretch on the inner thigh. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Woohoo!